2.5 years ago. So.
And we are live.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone.
Hello, everyone. We were just talking. Michael used to live in Hong Kong, so I was interested in hearing about Hong Kong.
We have already broken my record high. So we're at 12 viewers, and I'm expecting more.
How do I share a link to it? I'll tweet the link so that
I will send it in the little chat window here. So it's twitch.tv. There it is. Right. Thank you very much. Hello, expert. Thank you for the follow. Probably not going to be interacting with the follows and likes too much. My big focus was just talking to these guys, talk about Shin-chan. Waiting on Peter. Don't know where Peter's at. Probably just running a little bit behind. Thank you for the follow. Also, before we start, I do want to give a shout out to my guys modding. We got Ryan, we got Pike, and we have Firearm. Thank you guys so much for volunteering to do this. I know I warned them. I warned them that this is going to be like bigger than any stream before it. So, okay. So while we wait for Peter,
high expectations.
I was just like, guys,
high expectations are good.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Just like, okay. So I mean, just to start out while we wait for Peter, go ahead and everyone introduce yourselves.
Sure. I'm Michael C. Pizzuto, and I am currently based in Los Angeles, but prior to that, I was living in Hong Kong, and that is where I did my version of the English dub.
Ooh. My name is Chuck Huber, and I did the Funimation Shin-chan dub. I played Hiro as well. I'm interested in this. So you were doing English voice acting in Hong Kong?
That's right. That's right. There was actually a lot of that goes on. More so back in the day when I was there. Right. I started out doing it there, I guess it was 2007, and I was there for about 13 years doing it.
How did you end up in Hong Kong?
You know what? I also did theater prior. That was what I got my background in, my theater degree in. And so I went out there to work for a theater company, and I was on stage doing a show, and I was there for a 1-year contract. And then I was going to come back to the States. It was just going to be a 1-year adventure. I'd never been to Asia before. And I decided, you know what? I want to check it out and do this opportunity. So I put everything I owned in the storage. And I went, because what I was mentioning prior to what we said, I was living in Ohio with a theater company there. So I put everything I owned in a storage unit in Ohio. And I was on stage, and after the show, we had an after party, and some folks came up to me and they were like, hey, have you ever thought about doing voice acting and animation? And as an actor, well, sure, I've always, that sounds, it would be amazing. I would love to try that. And he said, well, we're always looking for people. So if you want to come and audition, we do things, blah, blah, blah. And so I thought, well, all right, whatever, I'll give it a go. Next thing I know, I was at the end of that year contract, but I was being offered to do full time with them. And that was being taken on as a voice actor. And the way it's done there is quite different than in LA or how we do it in the States. You're signed on for a contract because they would sponsor your visa as well. So you would get paid. You get paid per episode, but also you'd be contracted to get paid a certain amount as well. So, that I said, okay, so I'll do then 2 years in Hong Kong instead of just 1, and I'll keep everything in storage. And then fast forward 13 years later, 14 years later, I then finally came out to LA. But yeah, I kind of stumbled upon it, to answer your question, by being in a show, having people see me in it, and then being part of that whole process once I was there. And that's why there's a lot of that whole team and a lot of people who are into Hong Kong dubs or have seen things, whether it be on Animax or Cartoon Network Asia, Disney Asia. We did things for a lot of different networks, not just 1 or 2. and we would do a lot of stuff that you did in Funimation. I heard that we both did Kiroro, Sergeant Frog. We were both in that. You did the Funimation, which is the more popular version because most people know that from the DVDs and stuff of that nature, the Funimation version. Whereas I was like the, the bastard redhead stepchild in the basement who only people who knew me were the ones who were watching it on Animax in Asia.
Listen, take your pick. You had a salary and were paid per episode. I got, I think $35 an hour. So like the whole series was maybe $250 for me.
Fair enough. But yeah, life of a non-union, right? Well, what are you gonna do? But look at that background with the dad. That's kind of cool.
Thank you.
I do like that. I like Shin-chan. I like Hiro being running through the background.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So yeah, but that's
I have more theater questions. I can just run this thing. I can ask Michael Hong Kong and theater questions.
Yeah, because I didn't know this, but because I'm based in Columbus, Ohio, I didn't know Michael was also from Ohio.
Well, what was the theater company?
Yeah.
Well, it was a place called Shadowbox. Back in the. Oh, do you know it?
Yeah. I used to do. Wow. I cut my teeth in Chicago doing theater in the Chicago area, so I knew.
Oh, okay, right.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay, yeah. But that was when I first started that out. That was way back in the day. That was like 2008 or no, 98. Sorry, my God. That was back in 98, and we were building the theater. Like us actors were painting the walls and being carpenters, and we were literally building it from the ground up. I mean, I was not a union actor by any stretch of the means back then. And we were busting our butts from the ground up. And what it is now, it's still there in Columbus, but it's in a different location. And I was there for 7 years before well,
it's funny. We have a similar, because I got my first Funimation gig. I started in Chicago and I moved to the Fort Worth area, and we started a theater company there. And I had we were doing an improv show, a late night, Friday night, Saturday night improv show. And we were rehearsing for it one time during the week. And my buddy Brad Jackson came in and he was like, "Hey, you should go audition for this Dragon Balls thing." I was like, "Dragon Balls? That sounds like porn." And he was like, "No,
that's amazing.
Japanese anime." And I was like, "Oh, so it's definitely porn." And he was like, no, it's super cool. You should go. He's like, "Here, call this dude Chris Sabat." And I called him and he was like, "Yeah, do you want to come audition?" And I was like, "Sure, yeah, I'll come audition." But I'd been doing like TV film work, and I'd worked at the Goodman and the Steppenwolf. So I had a pretty solid career in Chicago.
Oh, and when I got to the best, man, that's amazing.
Yeah. I was very, very, very lucky to work for some really, really great theaters. Spoiled me though.
Yeah, some of the best theater I've ever seen was at Steppenwolf. Yeah.
What'd you see?
All right. Oh, my favorite was Buried Child.
Yes, I saw that too.
Directed by Gary Sinise. And yeah, oh, it's amazing. Yeah, and then. Well, because when I was in college, my girlfriend lived in Chicago and I was living in Michigan, and so I'd go down. I'd drive there every other weekend to go hang out and see her, and we'd see Steppenwolf shows.
What years was this? Well, I bet we were in Chicago at the same time.
This was like 95, 96, 97, that era.
Yep. We were there at the same time. That's funny.
Wow.
Yeah.
Birds of a feather.
Yeah, I remember what's his Tom Holtz from the guy who played Amadeus, and he also does a lot of voice acting as well too. But he was sitting next to me during Buried Child, and I was trying to, as I was trying not to be like a fan geek, but back in those days, I was like, "Oh,
there's always a lot of rubbernecking. There's always a lot of rubbernecking at those Steppenwolf shows because there's always a lot of hoity-toity stars coming there.
There he is. All right, got another guest coming in. Peter is coming in. Hello, Peter.
Yay.
How's everybody? Sorry it took me a while.
It's all good. Glad you're here. We're just talking theater.
Excellent. Theater's always good.
Are you drumming in the backyard at the moment?
I am just working the fingers, doing my thing. Got the pad out.
Nice.
keeps them busy.
Are you in a
But-
band?
What?
Are you in a band?
In my mind, I'm playing. I'm playing the amphitheater tonight.
Yeah,
Nice,
man.
nice. Listen, what's the
Oh,
difference?
hang on, that's my tour bus. Don't park it there. It's too big. Okay, take care of that. You know, these damn buses.
I hear you, man.
Well, we had just gone through our
Cheers.
2 stories about how we got into doing the anime voiceover. So it's your turn now. You came right at the right time. Tell how'd you get into doing voices?
Let's see who got me going. Well, the ex-wife. Sorry, Mikey. Are you there? Sorich on here?
So what's that?
Was that?
Is Mike Sorich on?
I don't. Not in the
Okay.
not
well,
in the call,
my
but
ex-wife, so she gave me a shot with Bang Zoom, and I thought as a drummer I'd have no problem. I sucked ass, really bad. I mean, I couldn't hit the mark. I couldn't hit the beat. I'm counting it as a quarter note. I start counting it as a eighth or a trip. I'm like, couldn't hit it. So started doing some work, and then I think Steve Kramer gave me a shot, and I nailed it. And so he started referring me to some other folks, you know, Sorich and Bob Buckholtz and Bang Zoom, and it took off from there. So, but the first couple.
I'm in LA now myself. I've since moved from Hong Kong, and I've gotten to do a few things with Bob as well. Bob, some stuff for Netflix. And are you still doing stuff with Bob and Bang Zoom?
No, the last stuff was Erica 7, the movies.
Right on.
My character was Dominic in the second film, so I did go back to Burbank to do that. But no, unfortunately, down here in Spring Valley, there's California, San Diego. There's nothing, and you know, I'd like to go back and give it a run, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Fair enough.
You know, we have different seasons of our careers for sure. Our careers go through different ebbs and flows for
It sucks
different
sometimes.
reasons. It does suck. It does suck sometimes.
To have somebody take it away because they have the power to do that is pretty. It does run rampant. I'm sure I'm not the only one that had an ex or somebody gets in an argument and they've got the power to call studios.
Yeah,
You know, if it weren't for Leah Sargent, I don't know if y'all know her.
Mm-hmm.
We were doing a project together called Algebra School, and she took me out for drinks and fun. And she said, you know, do you want to know how you working? I'm like, no, I can't loop. Nobody's taking my calls. Nobody's doing anything. She goes, well, you've been blacklisted. So it was fun, but I miss it. So Shin-chan was fabulous. I love being Harry.
Yeah, we've got almost 20 people here in the chat. That's absolutely wild. And everyone's saying, oh, I love Shin-chan, I love Shin-chan. People are saying they love Sergeant Frog, all these different shows. Because I don't know if you guys know, Chuck and Michael, you both voice the same character. You both voice Kururu/Kululu, depending on what you're watching.
Right.
So you two both shared a role.
Right.
It's like, and
Kululu off, ready?
Yes. So someone in the chat. Someone in the chat was.
When I replaced Harry, they wanted me to kind of do the same thing, and I was like, I talked to Mike about it, and I said, man, I got something different in mind. And he was like, okay, do it. They're not finding him, so take a shot. And I did what I thought was good for him and ended up nailing it. So
a lot of what we used to do in Hong Kong, whether it be for Cartoon Network Asia or Disney Asia or Animax, they wouldn't really want us to imitate the voice, but you would definitely be told to, think about, the tone of that character, or, is he an old deep voice or whatever the case may be. But then there were some times when there was just so vastly different, the voices, like our 2 takes of Kururu are so vastly different. And I learned long ago to just like stop reading the comments on YouTube videos and stuff like that. Like, unless I'm a complete emotional masochist and want to just like feel
Yeah.
absolutely shitty about my career over the last 20 years. Because like, you know, like, how dare you voice a small yellow alien frog that way? A small alien frog would never sound like that. You know?
Oh my lord.
It's like reading your own theater reviews. You know, not everybody's
do it.
gonna like it. You know?
I can't do it.
No,
I
it's
used to think I don't know about you all, but I used to think reviews didn't matter until I did my first really big show, and I was panicked all night waiting for the paper to come out the next day. I
Yeah.
thought, oh my God, I thought I killed it. What am I carrying out like a 5-year-old?
You know what
You
my
know?
favorite reviewer story is? There's the actor John Barrymore, famous turn of the century old school actor,
Oh
great
yeah.
father of Drew Barrymore for viewers out there who are like, oh, we know Drew. Anyway, he was an amazing stage actor, and he was doing one of my favorite books is a biography written by his best friend called Good Night, Sweet Prince. Sorry, one of my favorite books. I did went brain dead of the name. Good Night, Sweet Prince. And in there, they're talking about how he just loathed reviewers and how it was just, how it was ridiculous that one day he was known for drinking a lot, right? And he during the matinee of Hamlet and went out for lunch, and he had a liquid lunch, and he came back and did that evening show just
Wasted.
wasted. And he was in the middle of a soliloquy, had to stop, walk off stage, puke his guts out into the bucket. It was prepared there for him because they knew he would probably need that from time to time. This little, his puke bucket. And you imagine, I mean, he was the top star of those days, right? So like he got away with murder. He comes back on stage. This is in the middle of doing a moment of a soliloquy, and just as if nothing ever happened, finishes the soliloquy and moves on with the rest of the play. The next day, the review talks about what an amazing choice the actor and director made by giving us time to pause. He walks off stage, giving the audience this moment to self-reflect upon what is happening in the story and the vital text that is occurring. And at that moment, I realized it's all, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. Some people are going to love it. Some people are going to hate it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Sometimes
you ever have people hate your characters?
Yeah.
I think Chuck has the best story of all on them.
Shao Tucker?
Yes.
Yes, I have one of the most hated characters in all of anime. I will literally have people come up to the table at a convention and be like, "You deserve to die," and I'll be like, "Why?" And they're like, "Because you played Shao Tucker," and I'll be like, "But it's just a script," and they're like, "I hope you burn in hell," and I'm like, "You're a really angry 8-year-old girl. Where's your mom?" And she's like, "She's right back here," and she's like, "I hate you too." Like, they don't really hate me, but there's some people who get really mad.
Yeah.
And he combined his family dog with his daughter into a chimera, and it was a very spoiler. And I used to have a plushie that was the chimera, the dog daughter. And when people would come up to me, I would just hold it out to them and make them cry. It was always very fun.
I have a friend that goes to cons that he literally just went to Target, bought a white dog plush, and bought a wig, and the lady at the cash register knew what he was doing and gave him the dirtiest look.
It's funny. It's funny.
Yeah, never gets old.
I love the people in the house when you're doing a play, and they're sitting behind people and they start saying all kinds of crap. It's like, that's gonna get back to. I did Glenn Ross as John Williamson, and the guy behind my father-in-law at the time said, "I hate that effing guy. I hate him. He is so I'm gonna meet him afterward because if he's like that in real life, you know, that guy's a dick. And my father-in-law is 6'6", and he stands up at the end of the show and he says, "Well, that's my son-in-law, and he really is a nice guy. Would you like to meet him?"
I was doing a show and had a girl not want to date me anymore after seeing me play a character in a show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
I played a serial killer with a very dark history of killing kids. It was it was a very dark called The Pillow Man. I don't know if you guys are familiar with that. It's a very dark show, but at the end of it all, I saw her, and you know, she was just like, as if she really couldn't look at me, and she was just like, I don't know, like, I don't, yeah. I was like, hey, it's acting, hey, you know.
I played Sherlock Holmes once, and the end of the play is me and Watson on stage, sort of set apart from each other. We're a little angry at each other, so we're just sort of moody, and the lights are coming down on us. And our Watson had a really big mustache. We're kind of glaring at each other. And this guy was in the round, and this guy leans out and he goes, "I like your mustache," like that to Watson. And him and I had to go.
Oh my god!
Oh my god, that's fucking great.
It's fake.
It was too.
It's
One talk Shin-chan. Where are we at here?
Back to Shin-chan, which is the whole reason I contacted you three, and you guys have just to clarify to the audience, which to our 28 viewers, just to clarify, you guys have never met before.
No.
Yeah, because you guys all seem to take a strong interest. I'm interested. I'm just sitting here listening. I'm just like, yeah, just hearing theater and all that, and all your backgrounds. I
didn't realize we were all a bunch of theater dogs.
I mean, I knew Chuck was, but so to kind of kick off the Shin-chan questions, what did you know about the show going in? We can start with Michael.
Oh, great. To be honest, it was a face. I'd never watched an episode of the show prior to doing it. I knew of it. I knew that it existed. I'd seen toys and clips of it and stuff like that. But I had never really gotten into it until I started dubbing it.
Okay.
And then it was
with you.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it was the director said, "Here's the show that you want to go and look at a few clips. I even had the Spanish version, which I found more clips online of."
Oh, geez.
And so I was like, I'll watch the Spanish version. I don't speak Spanish, but I read the English subtitles.
Mitzi, que lástima.
Yeah, dos tequila, por favor. I guess that's my extent. But to be honest, take that out of your vocabulary, because in my line of work, I'll get suspicious right off the bat.
Chuck, since I'm kind of going in clockwise, Michael, Chuck, Peter.
Sure.
Chuck, what did you know about Shin-chan going into it?
Well, they kind of prepared us because they were writing it differently than it was written in the Japanese. We took a lot of liberty, or the writers took a lot of liberty with the translation. It's not even a translation. It's kind of a reimagining of it in a lot of places. And they kind of they tried to go over the line with it a lot. So they had to warn us that this show is going to have some difficult. And for me, they had to warn me. At the time, I was a principal of a private Catholic school. So,
oh dear.
You don't want the kids coming to school like, why'd you bury that dead clown in the desert, or whatever the episode was?
Why were you talking about that boy's little elephant?
Oh my god. Yes. That reminds me of Carrie Fisher. Or not Carrie Fisher, Carrie Savage. We were just talking about Carrie Fisher earlier with my friends. Carrie Savage on the commentaries on the DVD said she went to church, and one of the guys was just like, I can't believe what they air on TV. You heard about this Shin-chan? Are you in that? And he just kind of shakes his head. And she's like the most depraved character on the show.
This is true. Yeah, so I didn't know much about it. I knew that it was going to be, it was going to have some rough comedy in it.
Yeah.
And, but at that time, I needed the money.
I'm sorry. Absolutely. I mean, there's stuff I won't do. I'm not going to do porn.
No, and there were things in Shin-chan that I refused to say. There were things I was like, I'm not going to say that. We have to rewrite that line.
That was actually something I was going to ask later, was because I know the writer said that. They said there was stuff that the voice actors or the director would read it like, no.
It's true.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. All right.
The director of my side did that too. Yeah.
Peter, what did you know about Shin-chan? I know we talked about this on the phone. We're kind of going to be treading old ground, but this is in front of a live audience now, so.
I was told only one thing, and that it was a Japanese version of The Simpsons, and I was kind of reluctant because, as a Christian guy, I think the Simpsons and Family Guy and all that, I turned down a role for Family Guy. I couldn't do it, so I was on the fence, and then I found out Mike was directing, and I thought, yeah, I'll go in. And my character didn't really have much nasty, stuff. I mean, it was fun. Just fun. The dumb stuff he did. He wasn't a Homer Simpson idiot, and that's how I tried to play him. That the guy is kind of a doofus, but he's got, a little something upstairs. So I made him kind of a dorfus, but not stupid. And I had a ball with it. I just thought it was fun. So,
that's pretty much
a Japanese version of The Simpsons.
Yeah, and that's what I hear from most people that worked on the show, is that they really liked it. I don't know if you guys saw my videos about the series. Like, there were two bad experiences I had. Kath Soucie, the Kath Soucie was in the original English dub. Hated the show. Hated working on it. But she was already signed on to it, and she liked the director, so she stuck with it. And then Grey Delisle said the same thing. She did it for the money, pretty much. She hated the show, though. But everyone else I've talked to, every single person said, "Oh, I loved Shin-chan."
Yeah.
Well, they do have a lot of balls for saying.
Yeah.
For admitting it.
Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, I was fortunate. I had the, kind of the clean, doofusy kind of character that just really the only thing I found kind of deplorable was that he let Shin get away with just about any damn thing he wanted.
Ass dance.
Hey, buddy, are you sure you want to do that? Don't cut that cat's heads off. I mean, come on, okay, son. I'm like, okay.
So prior to me reaching out and kind of just talking about what I know, what did you know about other dubs, or did you know there were other English adaptations of Shin-chan at all?
I was aware.
Replace the father.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that they existed. I think, two other ones, or almost all of them, happened prior.
Yeah.
Mine was the latest one. I think that was 7 years ago or something.
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
2016 it came out.
Yeah, so that was. So I knew they existed. I purposefully don't go back to, because I've done a lot of shows that had English versions, especially the Funimation version that was already existing, and then we would do one for the Asia release ourselves. And I made it a point not to really, try to watch those, because I didn't want to mimic anything. I wanted to create something on my own. But then later on, I would, go back and check it out.
Right. And Chuck?
Yeah, I was aware of the other versions. Fans always tell me of it. Fans always tell me everything. So
okay, fair.
I don't have to research anything. They tell me, and they tell me when I make.
Fans are great.
Yeah. And you got people like me that's my whole shtick on YouTube is talking about this stuff.
That's right.
And I think this has all been answered by this point. One of my questions is, what did you think of Shin-chan? I think you've all kind of made that impression already.
I can tell you this about recording it. I've recorded hundreds of shows, and still to this day, with the director and engineer, if we ever see each other, we're always laughing and throwing Shin-chan quotes at each other. And we're like, and it goes back to this time when we just there was a lot of freedom. There was a lot of freedom with the comedy. Some of it went over the line. We had to pull it back. But a lot of times we got to invent a really absurd or weird jokes or contribute, as an improv, artist and try to make the scenes better and more fun. And a lot of times that stuff is just what's making us laugh in the studio.
Right.
Are we goofing on each other? And we'd all three go around the room and try different versions of the joke and see if we could get the best one out of it. And it felt like being in one of those old writers' rooms where you're just pitching ideas and pitching jokes.
Yeah,
and it was a rare time when this job of voice acting felt really collaborative, really like a sort of artistic collaboration, which was nice.
Okay. No, that's actually really cool. But yeah, if I had to tell you everything, and like I said, then you have me. There's three of them together. And we kind of touched on this, mostly Peter did, but when you were auditioning for the dad, what did you go for? What did the director want you to do as far as like how it's supposed to sound?
Well, he played the voice sample. Oh,
No, Peter, go ahead.
Yeah, Peter, you got it.
I'm good.
Okay, Michael.
Do you want me to continue or?
Yeah.
Okay. He played the voice sample, and like I said, the guy just sounded like a doofus. Like he's not here up there. It's not working for him. So I asked if I could kind of, I don't know, happy him up a little, do a little bit more with the voice, change just a skoshi, as they say. And
Right.
They laid the audition down, and Mike said, I'm going to leave it. I'm going to send it. I don't know if it's going to go. Do you want to do it again? I said, no, I'm real comfortable with that. If I get it, I get it. If I don't, it's not a big thing. I mean, it is a big thing. We want to work. But he sent it off, and they liked it. So I guess I stayed somewhat true to the other Harry, so.
Okay.
It worked. Yeah.
Michael?
Yeah. Well, a lot of us, one of the great things about being big fish in small pond in Hong Kong in those days, like we did over the course of the 13 years, I was able to do like 60 different series and stuff, but it was like it was the same 12 of us doing all the shows. And we all knew each other. And it was your question about like, how did we audition for it? To be completely honest, it was basically asked, "Hey, Mike, are you available? I'm going to put you as the dad for this." So that's kind of that's how it works, over there. It's kind of like, we're going to have you do the dad. We're going to have him do this. She's do this. And she's going to work on this other project. So she's not going to be in this one. And so the process of trying to find the right voice, I do remember coming up with some different things, like similar to what Peter said, like it has this like little bit of not 100%, the sharpest knife in the drawer, but at the same time, so like I'm trying different things, whether it be a tone or even a gravel. He's not really a tough guy or anything. So no, by any means. And so they just said, well, you know what, let's just do your regular voice. And so like, if you listen to it, it's just my natural voice. The whole time I'm just me. I'm not really even putting on any type of tone quality or anything. It's just me saying the lines as myself. And apparently myself is dumb enough to play that character perfectly.
That is almost precisely my story for getting back in those days at Funimation. There weren't 12 of us. There were like 24 of us. But we still had to audition, but you kind of knew when it was your turn. You kind of knew like, okay, I wasn't in that one. They'll put me in this one. And similar to I just got to do me. I just got to do my own sort of, I had young kids at the time. I had 3 kids at the time. So I kind of understood that, like, and I was working and I had to put on a tie every day, and I would run out on my lunch break to record.
Oh, wow.
At Funimation. I would say I had a meeting at the diocese or something, and then go do 2 hours at Funimation, or I would record out. Yes. I'd go confess it later. But but his life seemed very much like mine. There was actually one episode where Hema peed on his head, and they all slept in a family bed, and we did family bed too with our kids when they were young. And I was like, this is real. This really happened to me the other day. We were walking, my ex-wife and I were walking around the house looking for the smell of pee. Like, where's the smell of pee coming from? We couldn't find it. And finally she leaned over and smelled my back, and she's like, it's you. It's you. You got peed on last night.
Oh,
I was like,
Lord.
Oh, great. Good enough.
It's always the best.
It was just me. It was me and my life and my voice, similar to what Michael said.
Well, it worked.
Yeah. Just adds that degree of realism to it, I guess, is having that experience pre-existing. It's actually one of the questions I got from one of my subs was like, if you're a father, how relatable is the show to your actual life as a dad, if you're a dad?
Yeah, for sure.
Not a dad?
It is.
No, not a dad, but no.
Oh, okay.
I'm a dad. I've raised 8 children, so
wow.
You make up for the rest of them.
I know. It is strikingly close to real life. It goes over some edges in some places in ways that we wouldn't in our house, but not too much. I mean, not terribly much. The things that happen in Shin-chan with the family are pretty straight on. Although Mitzi is she's much angrier.
Yes. That's how it is. That's how mom and dad generally are. Dad is more laid back, and mom is the, do your homework, eat your vegetables.
Yeah, it's true.
That's actually something I was going to ask about, Chuck, because you said you just kind of auditioned, but you kind of knew you were going to get the role. This is like a super nerd question. Like, on the DVDs, they showed like audition reels for everybody. Yours was unique because it was for Gene Havoc in Full Metal Alchemist.
Weird.
Yeah, I thought that was weird. So I didn't know if that was like connected or if that was just a mistake.
No, maybe I don't know. Maybe I never auditioned. Maybe they just gave me the role.
And they're just like, here,
how do
have
you
this
get
one.
Where are the DVDs?
Online for absurd prices.
You can get the animation one on Amazon. Pretty much all the animations or the Funimation. Sorry.
It's Funimation Amazon lost the streaming rights and all that to Shin-chan a few years ago. So you have to like scour the internet, get it on eBay for buku bucks now. I saw it at my local store for like $50 for one of the sets. But they had bonus features, they had alternative takes, commentaries, all that good stuff, and that was just something I was just curious about. Man, imagine the reality of Chuck, you not getting Shao Tucker and you getting Gene Havoc instead.
That would have been different.
Very, very, very different. And then a lot of these questions just kind of blending into each other. I just kind of made this big list. Did you improvise at all when you were recording? I know, Chuck, you said you had to because some of the lines were just like, no, I'm not reading that.
The inadvertently racist ones I skipped.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, that show is no shame. I was showing a clip to some friends. It was the Global Warming Isn't Real song. And at the end, there was a really, really naughty line. Like, it was passable up until a point, and then I saw my friend's jaw drop. He's like, what was that? But anyways, Michael, go ahead and start us off. Did you improvise at all, or did you just read the script?
Yeah, we had some liberties. I mean, I've been with some directors who want you to do it all precisely, but if it's sometimes it's just not written 100% to match the lips, so you have to change a little bit here and there just to make it match the lips. But most of the time, it was definitely edited prior to us getting it. So like whoever was writing the scripts was told, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this instead.
Right.
Because ours was pretty more PG-13 as well, or PG than. So I don't know exactly how much or percentage wise that they dumbed down or changed, but I'm pretty sure that none of the clips like showed his willy, like, in our version. So I don't know if they cropped the scene or cut those scenes or whatever. But yeah,
I was gonna pop in.
I think they might have shown his butt a few times, but yeah,
it's kind of a necessity.
They got rid.
It's like his signature.
Right. They show the butt, but not the willy.
Yeah, did.
Yeah, they on the 3DS where Michael's dub came out. Yeah, you see penises and butts. There was no cuts like that. It was actually all of the stuff was just from the Japanese masters. Like nothing was changed, just the audio.
Yeah, nothing was changed in the version that I did.
Yeah, all the audio, all the penises and butts. Yeah, it was all there.
Shows how much I know. See, all right. Well, I didn't
you were when
series,
you and I were talking on Instagram. You said you were surprised.
I missed all the animated penises. Oh well.
Okay, I'm glad I have earbuds in because I'm sitting outside. My neighbors are outside. Really fast.
We're talking about cartoon
penises.
Just
comparing we did different penis shows back in the day.
I'll tell you about my audition for the. Oh no.
We're just talking about little children. Never mind.
Yeah. Because Michael was surprised by it was on the 3DS at all because that's how they released it, was just on that Nintendo Anime channel as one of their features. They had Pokemon, they had Kirby, but then they had LUK commissioned a Shin-chan dub from Hong Kong, and that's where Michael's dub comes in. Was that.
And so the thing is that because of the fact that the way that Hong Kong does these dubs, I mean, it's a factory. I mean, we were doing things 5-6 days a week, Monday through Saturday. We'd churn out one show, 3 or 4 episodes in the morning, do lunch, and then 3 or 4 episodes of another show in the afternoon. And that was, like I said, 5-6 days. And then you'd finish up a series of 32 to 52 episodes, and then you'd go on to the next show, and it was just like boom, 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 boom. And you would lose track of certain things and where it's going to air or how, and if you're working every day on animation, I know it sounds horrible to the fans, but the last thing you want to do is go home at night and watch anime to go watch yourself in these voices, it's just kind of like you need a little. So I was wanting to do it at like 6 days a week. So I would subscribe to things like Cartoon Network Asia or Disney Asia or Animax to be able to possibly see these things. But at the end of the day, it was like there were shows where I was like, I don't even know where this is airing. Then I find out later on, years down the road, it was on some Nintendo streaming channel. Okay.
Porno channel.
Yeah, it was
the
just
Playboy channel. Yeah,
even I said it was wild. Like in my video, I'm like, okay, guess how this was released? DVD? No. TV? No. On the Nintendo 3DS of all things. It's just crazy.
All right.
But yeah, I don't even remember what I asked. The last thing it says I asked was, did you improvise?
Something.
Yeah, improvise.
Oh yeah. So not. Bits and pieces of improv here and there, but it wasn't really because the way that they would write it, you pretty much had to, unless you were changing a complete scene, you didn't really have a lot of room for when it comes to dubbing. You don't have a lot of room to just go on and go on a rant or make up a whole new line.
Right.
because you have to follow the lips for the most part. I think
Yep.
the most improv comes from original recordings.
Yep.
I just liked that. As soon as you said lip flaps, I saw both Peter and Chuck nod.
Yeah.
It's true.
Something
But
I
you know, the English scripts were really good. I hardly ran into issues where it didn't fit.
Yeah.
And, you know, it was real. I don't know who wrote the scripts for mine, but they were
Mhm.
like 90% on. I mean,
Yeah.
we'd have to tweak something, a flap somewhere, but very, very
Mhm.
rare.
And the script writers who write for dubs, I mean, that is an art form because it is not
Oh,
easy.
yeah.
Because you have to go in there back and forth. I mean, I wrote some scripts for some shows, and it was a little bit too much for me, and I I stopped doing it
Yeah.
after a while. But it's because to match those lips, to match those flaps, you got to do it all differently. And one of the things that I had to learn how
I'll
to
be
do
right back,
was,
guys. I gotta get a jacket.
Okay.
It's cold.
when I was dubbing in Hong Kong, the scripts were written differently than the way that they were written here in Los Angeles. And there was different terminology about, what are we going to do? We called it a for a reaction. In LA, you would call it an effort. I'm sure you call it that, Chuck, too. Like, we're going to do
No, it's called reactions.
really?
REAC, a react, yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's similar, but at the same time, then we're like, okay. So they would have me, so there was different terminology, but there was also a certain math science to it. Like you would see dot was a certain pause, or a dash was a certain pause, or a comma was a certain pause. And so learning how to read that type of science to the way the scripts were was, but if it was written properly, then
It was
you
good.
you would match it, and it was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wrote for 5 years, and I always say of the script adaptation for dubs, it is absolutely the most creative data entry you could ever do. But it's
Yeah.
essentially data entry with little word problems. How do I say this in this many syllables? So it was like playing some sort of New York Times level crossword puzzle at times, which was fun. The sort of like problem solving nature of it, but it was also very mind numbing. It could be very difficult to
or
Yes.
if you have a joke which is hilarious in the original Japanese but makes absolutely zero sense in the English version.
Right.
Yes.
Well, then how are you going to make that, whether it be something that rhymes
Yes.
or whether it be something that only that particular culture understands and knows about. And all of a sudden he holds up an umbrella and it's a huge laugh moment, but you're like, okay, how do we make it work in English?
Yeah. That's honestly, that's one of my favorite parts.
You hold up a penis.
Right. Well, when in doubt.
That's one of my favorite parts about translation and adaptation is how do you make a joke work, or how do you make a reference work? Because that's a problem that some shows had, like Maruko-chan. It's a dub I talked about. It's just loaded with 70s Japanese pop culture. It's like I had to look up who people are, what certain things were. But then you see shows like Shin-chan, and you have like, I think Chuck might remember this, Box for Hire. They had a line that was Box for Hire. And it was just something, they were just like, we have no idea how this joke works. Let's make something up. So it was just a joke about something, because it looked like, standing on a box was the imagination, but it was some kind of pun in Japanese, and they just said, F it, we're making up something.
Yeah,
so,
puns were always difficult to manage because they did not work in English for sure. And anytime they made a play of words on the honorifics that they'd use, that was like, how do we make that work? That was always difficult.
Yeah, and it's always cool to see hear from translators for video games like Pokemon or Danganronpa or whatever, and how they work around that kind of stuff. It's always really neat to hear.
We were very lucky. Very, very lucky in many, many aspects, us actors in Hong Kong. But one of the Cantonese version actors who would work in the same studios as us, part of their contract was they had to write scripts as well as be voice actors for it.
Wow.
And I always felt bad for it because for us, it was an option. You want to do this for some extra bucks? We got this going on. If you want to make some extra money, you can do the script for this series or whatever, or you can do one episode, or you can do as many episodes as you have time for. And they had other people to do that, but it was so tough that I was like, no, I thank you very much. I appreciate it. But it would just drive me absolutely insane, taking me way too long. And you had mentioned Doraemon earlier, and that was my last one that I did, was when I did the scripts for it. And I actually said, thank you, but no thanks. And they said, oh, but this one is really easy to write for.
You'd be surprised. Yeah. Also wanted to just say, one of our mods, Ryan, said Chuck wrote great scripts for Baccano. So shout out to you for Baccano. So
yeah, that was a 1920s wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, ultra violent show. I got to use a bunch of sort of 20s slang, and the characters were all really well differentiated from each other, so their voices were really easy. I mean, the original writing of that and this is true of any art form. If your original source material is great, your job is a lot easier as an actor, as a dancer, as a musician. Great material makes you a great artist. And so thank you. I enjoyed writing Baccano, but it was well written before I got there.
Yeah,
I did the Animax version as well, and I loved doing that show. That was a really fun one.
So it's amazing how much crossover there is between you two.
Yeah, that's funny. We've got the I would say our voices are in a similar range for sure.
Yeah,
I can't remember the names of the characters I played, but I remember I was this old guy who was sitting behind a desk that you didn't really see all the time. It was like
That's the guy I played. He ended up being the devil. Yeah.
What? No way.
Yeah. So I played the same thing.
Wow, you have two shared roles. That is absolutely wild.
We should
That's
go.
Funny. Don't move to Fort Worth. Do not move to Fort Worth.
Yeah. All of a sudden, Chuck, you're gonna be out of a job doing Hiei from Yu Yu Hakusho.
That's all right.
We should do an
IBM.
IBM.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, read for
the same stuff.
Yeah, read for each other's characters.
Actually,
right. On that note, I was gonna ask, when you recorded, I don't think you did, but did you listen to the Japanese version at all? Nope.
Well,
we did. We would preview in Japanese and then record our English lines.
Yeah, that was the only thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
But not to base the voice on or anything.
Right,
It wasn't
right.
a voice match kind of thing.
But usually, like, for Funimation, I'm aware of the process. They'll play the Japanese version, you get an idea of the intonations and the emotion of the scene, and then you record your version. And I was just curious if you did that for Shin-chan, because like, what did you think of the Japanese voice? He's now sadly since passed away. It's Keiichi Fujiwara.
Well, actually, our version, we had clips of the Spanish, like I mentioned before, to watch that. So we were actually watching a lot of the episodes in the Spanish version first, and then doing ours afterward. And it wasn't, and not all of the eps were like that, but I don't know why, but for some reason the client had only supplied us with, like, I think the first 2/3 of the episodes were the Spanish dub version. So that's the, watch the scene first in Spanish, and now we're going to do it, which was silly, but yeah.
Wow.
I liked the voice actor for the Japanese for Hiro. He's a different voice than me for sure, but yeah, he had a lot of fun doing his job.
Now, because I was gonna fling a factoid in here, Keiichi Fujiwara was the dub-over voice for Robert Downey Jr. for Iron Man movies, and Eric Loomis, who I could not get in touch with, also voiced Hiroshi, whatever you want to call him, for the first dub of Shin-chan. So Chuck, you, Eric, and Keiji all voiced Iron Man because you were Iron Man in Death Battle.
Yeah. Must be something about that.
Yeah, it's almost like he's hiding something.
I must be Iron Man. Don't tell my wife. She'll expect a better car.
Because that was also a question from one of the viewers was, did you listen to the Japanese version? Let's see. Favorite lines, any scenes that really stood out to you or like stuck in your memory?
To be a man, you must have honor,
Yes.
honor, and a penis. I think that was a collectively. I feel like we collectively wrote that line. I feel like the line that we got written for us was something that I could not accept as being what it meant to be a man, and I think,
Yes.
I think we collectively. I think I said to be a man, you must have honor, and then our engineer said and a penis, and then we were like, that's it. That's
Yeah.
what it is to be a man.
Yeah.
Michael's dub also covered that. It was way more straightforward. It was a man-to-man promise, a man-to-man promise.
Man-to-man promise, a man-to-man promise. Yeah, I remember.
Yeah, no, it was a little bit different in Chuck's version. God, I showed that
He had
to
a
my
little freedom
mom.
to make stuff up.
Yeah, God, I showed Funimation's version to my mom. She's like, "What are you watching?"
That is the reaction people get.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for my children, my grown children, to come to me having come back from some party where some friend of theirs in college is an anime fan. Is like, you've never seen your dad in Shin-chan? Let me go ahead and show you. And then the kids will come back for Christmas and be like, Dad? And I'll have to have like a conversation like, look, that paid for your food.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's one of the things I love hearing about actors. Just like, well, this paid the bills.
Yeah. I mean, I loved it.
I
Yeah,
remember there was one of my favorite moments that made me laugh out loud. There was a couple episodes, I think it was 1 or 2 episodes, where the family goes to Australia,
yeah,
and in the English version, they're like, I don't know, I can't speak to them. They speak English. Well, what do we and how do they speak? And so
Right.
they're having trouble speaking to the people that live in Australia because they,
Yeah.
of course, you're speaking English at the same time.
yeah.
But,
It always blows me away when there is some way somehow you can write around that, because it is the hardest thing to write around because you're speaking in English, and it's always the thing. It's like, oh, we're going to America. Oh, we can't speak English. You know.
I can't remember how we got around that. I can't remember.
Yeah,
I think
don't.
what we did, I think it was something along the lines of like, I don't understand their accent or something.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
that's what I
Because,
that's
I
what it
think.
was.
And we had somebody do a really thick Australian accent. It was,
Yeah, that was a very fun series of episodes. So there's that. Favorite line, we just went through that. Honor and a penis is the classic. I showed that. I have a friend who doesn't really know anime, and we were watching Shin-chan just cracking up. Just the honor and a penis thing just got everyone. So kind of moving away from Shin-chan for a little bit. What do you do other than voice acting, either professionally or in your free time? Let's start with Michael.
well, I mean, I do full-time voice acting and also for film and TV as well. So I do live action acting. Of course, now in the world of COVID, it has not been a lot of on-screen stuff. Prior to that, I did a bunch of stuff. I think the last thing I did was like McMillions for HBO. But aside from, over the last year, most of my stuff has been home recording from my home studio and just doing, a lot of dubbing for Netflix, things like that, for foreign TV shows or movies. Yeah, so that's basically what I've been doing for the last year of staying inside my home.
How about you,
I
Chuck?
think yeah.
Go ahead. I Michael.
No, it's now starting to pick up though, which is nice for like on-camera stuff. So
Yeah.
hopefully.
Chuck, yeah, because I know Chuck does a few things, but go ahead, Chuck.
Yeah, I do TV film work too, and it has been dead. But I also teach, so I teach online acting classes, and it's sort of a little group of colleagues that we all teach together. We got an improv, a Shakespeare, we got scene study, we got my class, which is like dialects and just basic acting technique, objective, intention, obstacle, and playing the opposite. Just some and then a bunch of psychological techniques to help people. Because if you're going to be an actor, it's hard.
Yeah.
You have to be flexible. You have to be flexible, and you have to be resilient.
Especially when you got eight kids to feed. You get
That's
Lord.
yeah.
Chuck
for
the
sure.
Octodad over here.
Octodad, great. Thanks.
Yes.
That's what yes. They weren't octuplets.
Yeah, I know.
Although
there's a
they
game
all
series
came
called
out at
Octodad.
the same time.
Like
Yeah.
a t-shirt cannon.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Honey, I got him. He's mine. All right, fire. I got
It's
him.
like the Simpsons. And then Peter, what are you up to? Or what do you do outside of
Well, unfortunately, I'm currently out of the biz, being down here in San Diego. But I sunk my teeth into something I like, and when who was it that kept saying, to be honest, where are you? Where'd you go? Was it Mike?
No,
For me,
Chuck.
I think it was Mike.
Yeah. And the other one. Who was the other guy? I forget his name.
I don't know what I said. I might have said to you.
You used the term "to be honest with you," and that falls into what I do. I'm a investigator for the NBIB, and when I interrogate or question somebody, and they start out by saying, "Well, to be honest with you," I'm like, "Red flag, mother humper, red flag." So, in other words, what you're saying to me is that the other 20 minutes we spent, you weren't being honest with me. So I trained hard in deception and micro expressions and body language and
Wow.
things of that nature. And it's fun.
What would you mentioned the four-letter age? What's the four-letter HBIB? What's that? What'd you say? SB?
The NBIB. It's the National Background Investigation Services out of
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
the government
Right.
stuff, the clearance and clearance.
You let people know about the UFOs. You give them clearance to know about the UFOs.
Yeah, hang on. Yeah, guys, there's another one. There you go. Yeah, see,
Were you a fan of the TV show Lie to Me? Did you like that one? Lie to Me?
loved it. And they Hollywooded it,
Sure.
Right.
of course. But it is based on Dr. Phil Ekman, who pioneered the micro expressions and how to read them. And, there isn't a human lie detector, but I actually got the job because after the fifth interview, they played a video of a woman who was actually accused of embezzling. I think they said $1.5 million from a Fortune 500 company, and she said, "Okay, so we're gonna roll this, and at the end, you have to tell me whether she's guilty or she's innocent." Now, 85% of our candidates have gotten it wrong, and she knew nothing about my background. So anyway, the woman comes in, she sits down, faces her interrogator square on, and points her feet out the door. So right off the bat, I'm like, well, she's not comfortable. She goes, "Mr. Doyle, you can't possibly know anything at this time." I'm like, okay. So then we got to the end, and she's showing micro expressions of anger, disgust, blah, blah, blah. So we get to the end, and she says, "Now, Mary, did you indeed have anything to do with stealing that money?" Her answer was, "Quite frankly, I resent that. I have been with this company for 18 years. I'm well respected."
Yeah.
So she didn't say no.
Exactly.
That's it.
It's actually
That's it.
yeah. That's like a subset of what I studied in college. I have a bachelor's in communications, and that's part of what we studied was things like that. Not to that degree at all, but like, when someone's lying to you, some, basic tips, like they're kind of dodging answering. So no, it's interesting. It's really interesting. Yeah.
God, I swear to God.
Yeah. Yes. We have one of my subscribers in chat said that's something he focused on in college. So it's really cool to hear someone else that's done that. So
that's a pretty cool gig, man.
I focus on it from from an acting standpoint,
Yes.
because to be a really good actor, you have to access your sort of episodic memories instead of your semantic memories. You have to be re-experiencing or experiencing for the first time, not recalling script lines.
Right.
You know, you have to
And
be.
that's such a great observation, because my first interview, she said, well, I have to know, I did look you up, the IMDb, it's IMDb. Oh, right. Okay. Well, I looked you up, and you had a heck of a career. I don't understand, blah, blah, blah. I said, well, I got cancer, the whole thing. So she says, how will that help you in becoming an investigator? And I said, well, I think one of the most important parts of being an investigator is listening. And as an actor, we are trained to listen. Listen. You're not just standing there waiting for your line, because that's just Dyson-y acting. You can see it a mile away.
Yeah.
And they spurt out their line. But if you're like Gene Hackman and James Garner and those guys that just listen,
Yeah.
you got to sit back and watch somebody hang themselves.
Yeah.
You know, they'll spill it eventually if you. But as an actor, I had a leg up, you know,
Yeah.
because we all learned how to listen.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's true.
Yeah, I would imagine that'd be like super helpful for that specific field because of that. So
And really in any field or any relationship,
yeah,
because people,
That's-
you know, let's face it, folks, in this day and age especially, how you doing today? Well, gosh, you know,
Yes.
John, oh yeah, well, you know, I was up the other day, and they're off to the races, talking
Yeah.
about themselves, and you're like,
yeah, because
I don't know,
that's
it's sad.
yeah, that's something I used to do. I used to be a technical recruiter. I hated it, would not recommend it. But one of my jobs was interviewing people, kind of like this, but way less fun. And that was just something to always look out for. You could tell when someone's like lying about or embellishing their resume, not just from calling someone, but the way they describe it is just like their body language, the way they're describing things. It's just like, okay,
Absolutely.
did you really have this certification, or did you really do this much experience?
Right.
So yeah,
You guys, the actors out there, did you guys ever read for Jeff Greenberg?
No.
Doesn't sound
Don't think-
familiar.
Cheers, Frasier, all that stuff. I got called into his office like 9 times straight to producer. And my first time, I was flipping out because this guy's huge. You want to do comedy in LA. It was Jeff Greenberg at the time. So I'm waiting out there, like stressing to the eyeballs to go in for a pilot. And this kid comes out, and Jeff Greenberg comes marching out into the lobby. He goes, that guy's so full of shit. Check his reviews. I want to read them because I think he's lying. His secretary gets on the phone with the paper. We don't have anything about that. So I'm waiting to go in. He calls this guy's agent and rips him a new hiney hole. And then I got to go in.
oh Lord,
So lying about anything you do in a relationship, on a job
Yeah.
application, on a
Yes.
resume, you know, you can pull it off for a little bit, but then let's say you get the job
yeah,
and you can't do it.
yeah, and I have stories about all those things. I think one of the best ones was we had a guy come in. He had like really nice suit, talked great, and we sent him to the client, and they're just like, "Did you pull this guy off the street?" Because he wasn't talking well. He was nervous. He dressed horribly. He smelled like ass. Like, we have to take the heat for that. Sorry. But it was just one of those things like we got we got him to crack up twice. We got him with honor and a penis. And this guy, they swore we got him off the street. And it's just sometimes you can't catch it. So, but yes, I can relate.
Is if he called you back and he said, you know, I thought I crushed that. Can you tell me why I didn't get the job? And you
Yeah,
look
we
at
had to
it
tell
on
him.
the
We were
phone
just
and you
like,
go, yeah, because you smelled like ass.
Because we were just like, it was kind of like a bro moment, just like, dude, you were nervous when you were talking. Like, he was totally cool talking to us, and he's talking to the client, just like, yeah, I did that.
Well, that's what happens. I mean,
Yeah,
I've interviewed
sometimes
enough
you
times
can't.
that, you know, I interviewed for Quest Diagnostics a while back, thinking about maybe, I don't know what's going to happen in my life, la 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 la. The guy was supposed to call. They never do. I'm not saying that's you, but you know, you run into that with casting directors and agents and
Yeah.
things and employment people, and they say, yeah, I'm gonna make my decision by, I'll let you know by Friday one way or another.
Mm-hmm.
It never comes, and you're like, asshole.
Yeah.
Because we just, we're kind of left out in limbo. You're on a veil. Oh God, no.
Yeah.
Don't put me on a veil.
Yeah. It's just interesting how much that crosses over just between my completely unrelated field of work. So thankfully I'm out of that. I hated that job.
It is related to actors.
Yeah. I mean, it does relate. You have to look at, no, exactly. But I guess back on track of nerd stuff anime, which is what people are here for. Oh yeah, they ghost. Yeah, someone said in the chat didn't know they ghosted with casting. Yeah, happens sometimes.
It does. I worked in casting for 8 years. I don't know if you guys did commercial work, but like a commercial casting director, I ran their sessions. You all look familiar to me. Melissa Martin, all those guys, all those casting directors. I was their session director, so it ties in. Yeah, it really, really does.
Yeah.
We used to call those when we'd self-record or self-tape on actual VHS tapes and send them to LA, because I worked out of Chicago primarily. We never heard back from. We used to call them space tapes because we assumed they just got shot out into space. Are you making a space tape today? Yeah, I'm making a space tape.
It's like they'll pick them up on Mystery Science Theater 3000.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Guys, I only have a few minutes left. I
am in the same boat, my friend Peter.
I have a date. So
okay. All right, so let's shoot through some questions. I have extra time if Michael wants to stay on. Favorite role of show you ever worked on?
Someone else go next.
I Android 17 and DBZ and Hiei and Yu Yu Hakusho. Hiei, because the first time I went to a convention, I didn't know that they said I was going to be signing autographs, and I was like, "You're stupid. You don't know how this works." I assumed I was going to the convention to like pass out flyers because I'd worked as an actor at conventions passing out flyers.
Okay.
And they were like, "No, you're going to sign autographs."
And pictures of yourself.
Yeah, and then they I sat down and I signed autographs for 4 hours. I was like, what the hell just happened? I had no idea it was going to happen. And that was during Yu Yu Hakusho, so that was he's my favorite. But Android 17, the whole DBZ franchise has been very good to me for 20 years.
Yep, so. You're still doing it.
Nice.
Yeah, still doing it.
What about Peter? What's your favorite role you've done?
Oh, well, I have a lot. I get recognized most for Cyborg 009.
Yeah.
And when I worked security a number of years back, I told you this story, but the guys haven't heard it. And I'm training a new patrol. We were not security guards. We had the upper hand as security specialists. And I'm training this guy. And we roll out to this thing called Coast 9. And I rolled up and I always called it Cyborg 009. And I always chuckled, and I tell him that. And we leave the site, and for the next hour and a half, he kept staring at me in the passenger seat. I kept looking over. I'm like, Eric, you all right? Yeah. I pull over, and finally I'm like, dude, what in the heck is your problem? You've been staring me down. Okay, I'm sorry. Your name's Peter, of course, right? Yeah, right, yeah, okay. Your last name isn't Doyle, is it? I went, okay, man. Yes. Dude, Cyborg 009 rocked. I'm like, oh my God.
That's funny.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just kind of.
I think Cyborg was great.
Okay. And just to kind of how much time do both of you have left as far as just ballpark?
I got like 5 more minutes.
Okay.
I got 5 or 6 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Michael? How long you got?
Yeah, no, I can stay on for that too.
Okay. Least favorite role you've done?
Oh,
I don't get to talk about my favorite. Okay.
Well, you said go first. What's your favorite, Michael?
Oh no, I was gonna say. All right. No, one of my favorites that I really loved to do was a character in Line Town. I did the English version of this show where he was like this mischievous little guy named Moon. And Line Town, they have a store for it in Times Square and also here in Hollywood as well, where you can get Line Town merchandise and things of that nature. So I was so excited. Well, I went to the store and here in LA when I arrived because I wanted to get a little figurine of my character that I did the English version for. And I went in and I was looking all around and my character is literally in every episode. And they said, I said, I'm looking for Moon. Do you have Moon? Oh no, it's we have everything, but we don't have Moon. We don't carry that one. It's the most unpopular one that we have.
Oh, that's lame.
I think you might find them on some stationery somewhere, and so
that's lame.
They literally had to dig them up. They were like, "Oh, I think we have something in the back here for you." Yeah, we have this little keychain with them on there. I'm like, all right, well, better than nothing. But
Okay.
anyway.
So, anyways, least favorite role. We'll try to wrap it up here.
I don't really, there's sometimes we would do shows under like a pseudonym because it was over the line and they just grab you while you're in the studio and because you respect the directors and they cast you and they're like, can you please just come in and do these 12 lines of this one character? I know it's a show you wouldn't normally do. We'll put you in a pseudonym. So those are probably my least favorite in terms of performance, but you got to help your director friends out. You can't just leave them hanging.
Absolutely.
Peter,
I think for me,
go ahead, Michael.
Sorry, go ahead. I was gonna say as far as least favorite would be the ones that just absolutely destroy your voice by the end of it all, because a lot of times I would choose a voice and I wouldn't necessarily know to what extent there's going to be a lot of yelling and battle scenes and everything. So I'd take my deep gruff voice like this. And it would be wonderful to have that fun, evil voice. But at the same time, then all of a sudden there's this epic 15-minute battle scene where he's screaming and fighting. And by the end, you're just like, fuck this show. What did I do? And you have voice actor regret because you think, oh, he's just, by himself and very quiet for the first couple episodes or first few scenes. So that's the voice you choose. And so those are the ones that I would say.
You're drinking that throat coat nonsense that gives you diarrhea, and you're like, dude, can we just take a break? I gotta go. Okay, I'm back. That happened a couple of times. It was horrible. I directed and had a lead in a series called Green. I'm praying none of you have ever heard of it. It was awful.
No.
The script's so bad. It just, as a director alone, I remember Bryce Papenbrook. I don't know if you guys know Pappy.
I like Bryce. I like Bryce a lot.
Okay. Well, I brought Bryce in one day, and we had to bring her back 2 more days because we couldn't get it written. I mean, I'm writing it on the fly and trying to make it fit. Oh my God. It was embarrassing. I wish I'm so glad you guys don't know about it.
Well,
someone in the chat said they only know about it because of a bear scene. I don't know. I've never seen it, but
yeah, it's terrible.
But anyways, to just kind of go through some real quick ones. Would you be, if I was to do something like this, because I'm still doing my video series, would you be interested to do something like this for a different show, like any 3 of you?
Sure.
Awesome.
Sure.
Yeah, because I've got all your contact info, and I'm sure you guys seem like you had a great time. You were kind of interviewing each other because you've never met.
Yeah, we were.
Hopefully you guys made
You take the day off. We got this.
Yeah,
That's
no,
right.
it was interesting.
Right.
I loved hearing it because you guys were talking about theater and your backgrounds, and like that's what hopefully y'all made friends out of this. So
if we do it again, we have to do that game where we tell 2 truths and a lie, and Peter's got to figure it out.
Ooh, yeah.
I'm in. I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm
because
in,
we
I'm
can
in.
do this
Okay,
Okay, I'm
again.
gonna add one more favorite role, and that was Glengarry Glen Ross in Pasadena. I did the John Williamson role. It was my really first big lead, and I was absolutely shit-faced scared. And my twin sister, came up from here. I was down in LA, and she came up to watch the show. And Williamson, you're familiar with it, I hope, right?
Yeah,
Okay,
love me some Mammoth.
It made
Mammoth's
Kevin Spacey.
Yeah.
It was tough, and I got to work with him on Heist, David Mamet. Anyway, I get backstage, and my sister comes in, and she's crying. I'm like, oh my god, like, oh shit, she thinks I suck, and I got to go back to Michigan and bury my head in a snowplow. And she goes, oh my god, really
and then
good.
anything you want to plug, any social media, I know Chuck's got some classes he does, anything you want to plug?
if you want some class information, fireflyworks@gmail.com. Fireflyworks, just like it sounds, @gmail.com. Hit me up, I'll tell you about it.
I just posted it in the chat.
If you need any temporary instructors or anything, just hit me up. I'll talk to improv, and I trained at the city, so anything.
Yes. Same here. If you want,
yeah,
people can contact me through Instagram if you want, at Michael Pizzuto.
And I'm not gonna spoil, because I know some of you are here from YouTube. I'm not gonna spoil what the next episode is after my next one. It's a Polish cartoon, but I will say Michael was involved with the show. I'm not saying anything more. I'll also say it was a big fan request.
I'm gonna sign off.
Thank you
it's
so
good meeting you,
much. Yeah, thank you so much for.
I had a ball.
Yes, I had an absolute
luck on your date.
blast. Yeah, good luck, man.
Yeah, man.
We're gonna play virtual golf.
Ooh, sweet.
Hey,
that's
cool.
awesome.
That's good.
That's more.
If you gotta download Widget Golf. It's WGT Golf.
Okay.
It's so realistic and so much fun.
Well, I hope you get a hole-in-one there, buddy boy.
Hey, kaboom!
Hey.
Well, I got one. Not that hole-in-one, but last
because of your handicap.
Monday morning, I played around and par 3, and I dropped an ace.
Nice.
Anyway, it's fun.
Yeah.
All right, guys, take care. It was a pleasure.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
The fans out there firing questions, thank you so much for being here. And I will say thank you to the fans that contributed when I was knocking on heaven's door. I was diagnosed with terminal cancer years ago, and my anime fans raised over $4,000 for me. And if any of you are out there, thank you so much from me. You guys take care. God bless.
Good luck.
See you, Peter.
Bye-bye.
So yes. To the both of you. Thank you guys so much for taking time out of your schedules and taking time to meet with me as a fan. If I have anything like this in the future, I'll hit you guys up. Or if you guys just want to talk again, you guys seem to really like each other's company, because you're all just kind of cut from the same cloth, just from different regions. So
theater nerds.
That's right.
Yeah, that's I always love hearing about it. I talked to Barry Andel at a con. The guy just lives theater, and it's always just fun to hear him talk about it. And you guys are hashing ideas between the both of you, like what you've done. So, all right, so that does it for the stream. It sounds like these two gotta go. So, I will be posting. I'd run. For those who don't know, I have a YouTube channel, Yui Senpai TV, where I cover English dub history. That's why I wanted to do this. I just did my 2 videos on Shin-chan. So thank you. Smell my sneaker. Thank you for the compliment. So yeah, you two take care, and let's definitely keep in touch.
All right.
Have a good one.
All right. Yeah, you
good
too.
meeting you, Michael.